Dear brothers, the Lord of compassion invites us to resemble Him and become more involved. The priest, when he saw Him, he passed by the other side. The Levite, the Samaritan, when he saw Him, he passed by the other side. Only the Samaritan saw Him, had compassion on Him, went to Him, did the first aid, carried Him on his donkey, involved the innkeeper also in the ministry, trusting Him. And Jesus says, go and do likewise. In the pilgrimage of our faith, in our journey from this earth to heaven, we see so many people in need. In the seminary, outside, in our families, later on in our ministries. Ultimately, what matters is not how much we have learnt, how much we have accomplished without love, but how much compassionate we are and involve ourselves in the life of others to bring wholeness to them, to bring joy to them. That's how people are measured by the Lord. Compassionate heart. So many times we have heard this parable. In Luke's Gospel itself, in two other places, that word is used. I believe when Jesus saw the widow who lost her only son, Jesus' heart was moved with compassion. And again in the 15th chapter, the prodigal son, the father had compassion towards the son who was returning after all his bitter experiences. And in Matthew's Gospel, so many times it is mentioned Jesus had compassion on the crowd, compassion for the leper, compassion for the people who were like sheep without a shepherd. How compassionate we are. Our heart must melt while seeing a person in need. You can't pass by. You know similar parables in the Bible. The parable of the rich man and Lazarus. He did not have compassion. He just ignored him, that's all. He did not torment the beggar by stealing what he had gathered by begging. No, he just ignored him, that's all. We ignore people. We think people in need are part of the landscape. And then the final parable of Matthew's Gospel, the last judgment. I was hungry, I was thirsty, I was naked, I was in prison, I was sick. You just ignored, that's all. You just ignored, that's all. The Samaritan did not see who was the man who was lying off dead. What mattered for him was he was a man in need. Not necessarily a diocesan, not necessarily a person speaking the same language, not a person who belongs to his caste. He transcended all that. He wanted to be neighbor to him. Initially, one who questioned Jesus asked him, who is my neighbor? And Jesus reverses the question, to whom you can be neighbor. He doesn't answer who is neighbor. You have to neighbor to everyone in need. Sometimes we have very, very stony hearts, just avoiding people, ignoring people, especially if it involves sacrificing our time, our energy. Especially in Mark's Gospel, Jesus is presented as someone who is ready to be interrupted, ready to be disturbed. Are you ready to be disturbed? Real love is not in the clutches of clock and calendar. Can you break your schedule? Can you change your appointment because somebody is more in need? That is the question. Jesus is teaching in the synagogue. A possessed man shouts. Jesus interrupts his preaching. Jesus is giving the word in a house. The roof is broken open. A man is lowered. Jesus doesn't get angry. Jesus is on the way to heal Jairus' daughter or raise her, a woman with hemorrhage. Jesus stops and makes her healing complete. Jesus is journeying to Jerusalem, sees Zacchaeus. Jesus interrupts his journey. Jesus is interrupted by two blind beggars, and Jesus is not angry. Only people are angry. Maybe Jesus was taking rest. Women come with their children to be blessed by him. Jesus is not angry. A real missionary, a real priest, a real seminarian must make the necessary adjustments when he sees people in need. We should have the heart of Jesus. We should have the mind of Jesus, the compassionate one who, for the whole humanity, did what he could by involving himself for our salvation. May we imitate Jesus in our pilgrimage of faith by not being indifferent, by being involved, by being more and more compassionate and sacrificing. Amen.